All right, we're going to introduce the final part of project 2. There we go. So sharing my screen. First, you need to make sure that you actually completed the first portion and that your variables are all continuous and that you've been approved that all your variables are continuous and that there are no categorical variables and that your t-test variables are on the same scale. So make sure that is approved and you have all of your points there before you move on. Once you're ready to move on, then we're going to use this checkoff sheet and the same Excel file. So first you open the Excel file by clicking here and moving over to my other screen where it shows up. All right, so it showed up over here and we then click enable editing because we're going to start working with it. So I'm going to work through just a couple portions of it and not going through all of the steps per se. So here we have the exam 2 cheat sheet. So you're going to be working on both of these. See if I can get good at flipping back and forth with share as well. So here is the other document that we are working on. You would have your variables filled in here so that you're sure you're doing the right ones that you agreed on in the pretest. So then open Excel file for project number 2. All right, I have that open. Create a new worksheet, rename this sheet project to data. So that would mean we would come back over here. And we're going to do a new sheet, rename it project to data. So there's some other instructions, tells you to put in the today function. I'm not going to do that because that one is generally not an issue, but I want to do some of the ones that are a little bit difficult. The next thing says to take your 5 variables from the data and move it over to project 2. So for example, I selected generativity. So then I need to take generativity. And I find it works best if I just highlight instead of the whole column, just the numbers, so I don't accidentally pull in something I don't want. And then I bring it in here. First, you're going to bring in gender, and then your variable 1 and variable 2. So there's my variable 1 and my variable 2 that I have selected is here. So I highlight down. And you can be doing this part with me if you're caught up to that part in your project. So this is variable 1 and 2. Make them wide enough so we can see them. So that is, you'll do all 5. I'm only doing 2. Again, you need gender and then number 3 and number 4 here. But I want to move on to the next step, which says, well, first we have to copy the scale values and value labels. So that's the next step. That's from here. So that's when I would come down here and find my variables and copy, and then come here and find my variables and copy. And then I want you to paste that over to here as well on the other side. Next, we're going to rename, because generativity T1, if you run spell check, this isn't a word. So running spell check will help you know which things you need to rename. So rename this in something that makes sense. And the best way to know what would make sense is that's when you want to go and read the variable labels, read the sentence that goes with it so that generativity, I think I'm responsible for ensuring a state of well-being for future generations so that I understand what this variable is looking at. So that's part of the things that we're doing there. So, so that I would relabel, and then, and this one is empathy mindset, because this is having an empathetic, when I reread it, I find that that's having an empathetic mindset, making sure that's still wide enough there. So that is the part about rewording it, making sure you change those. Then we're going to go to the part, and this is the part that's really tricky for some students. So here's where we're going to do how you use the filter function to clean your data. This is called cleaning your data. We need to get rid of these nulls in the right way. So we do a filter, and we take the first one, and we filter so that we see the nulls only. And then here, you need to, and it doesn't matter right here, you see there's values there, they have to be the same. This is in the same, anything value, variable 1 and variable 2 are both in the same analysis, so they have to have the same things deleted. So we have to go through here and have the exact same, we go all the way down until we run out of nulls. And then we delete the entire row. Do not just hit delete, and do not just hit clear contents. If you do, I can show you what will happen. If we just hit clear contents, which is the same as delete, it looks like it disappears. But instead, when you come down here, you actually have blanks. Those blanks are still going to mess up your data when you try to run things. So what you need to do is to actually delete row. Now we see that they're all clear. See, those are just numbers in there. So we select all those again. I got them all selected again. Select all those again. Now we see there's still some nulls over here. Now we do the same thing over here. And now again, it doesn't matter that there's data on the other side. They have to be the same for both. Both have to have the same number. So again, delete row. Now we take that off. And now we have clean data. Nice and clean is what we call that when we don't see any of those things. So that's the part that a lot of students have struggles with. The other part I'm going to show you, it's actually skipping down to the doing your decimals. Many of you may want to use this to do decimals when you get to decimals plus or minus, or to use the function. But you're really going to need to use, it's what I have written in there, is you're going to need to go into the format cells, number, decimals 2. That will make it so you won't run into problems. There's 3 times I'm going to have you at least fixing your decimals. So make sure you always do it this way. The next tip is to remember that when you're moving down into the analyzing data, the frequencies, histograms, and those sorts of things, you go to data, data analysis. So here is my hint for the frequency. Do the histogram here, click the histogram, click the chart output, click my labels, my input range. For generativity would be this column. And then my bin range. Remember, bin is what the options were. So then you hit the bin range, and then from there, so you go bin range, and then you'll have to go over to scale values and pick it from over here. And that's how I'm not going to show you everything because I still want this to be a test for you. Also in there, remember when you're doing correlation, this is where we do correlation, remember labels in first row, which means you also have to collect the first row. that for correlation, they have to be next to each other. So while I can run a correlation with this, that's why I have you move the variables. That will be just fine. That will run a correlation for me. New worksheet. That will pop in that correlation that we need to have. See, and this is why we had to rename them. Otherwise, these names are going to be messed up. Again, how do we redo that one? We redo it by formatting cells, number, 2 decimals. That's how we fix that. However, if you had 5 and you didn't put them next to each other, I cannot do this one and this one and run a correlation. They are not next to each other. That will give you mistakes. If your nulls are in there, if your blanks are in there, if any of those sorts of things are in there, you will not be able to run any of those things. The next hint, the last hint I think I want to leave you with here is to be able to go back to Canvas. So back in Canvas, we will go in, back in Canvas. It's going to go home. It's taking me too long to get back to Canvas. And you come down to project 2. You'll see here this stats review in YouTube. Now you watched the stats review and you took the quiz. So that's fine. It's the exact same video. But the advantage of it that I have now that you're working on things is that my YouTube version, same video, but in YouTube, I'm able to break it into what they call chapters. And so I've actually broken it down into different pieces here. So if you're getting stuck on, say, writing the t-test sentence, so that's 12:11, but if you go here, you can see down here these little, it changes the names. It's got the same titles in it. If you look right there, or before it goes off, right up there, right above that pointing up arrow there, p-value significant, t-test table, there's an example t-test sentence. So when we go in there, that is going to give an example of what to do, how to write it. So this video is not just a review of random stuff you may have learned before. It's in a specific review to help you with this assignment. So please go back and watch the parts where you get stuck. You can jump to the different sections so that you can figure out what you need to do and where you might need some help at. Hopefully that helped you out, and let me know if you have any more questions.